Razorfist crashout was inevitable after backing the wrong horse when it came to Goonergate, which was so freaking stupid, backing Melanie Mac and her trash takes, then having some accusations leveled at him that were none too kind. Are they true or not? I really don't know, but there was some compelling evidence out there, and yeah, 4 months later, now of all times, he's doing the tell-all. He's gonna try and eviscerate Smash JT, ruin his career. Yeah, no, these are the sorts of crashouts we live for when these ideological zealots, who of course have been trying to co-opt movements that we've been talking about for a long period of time now and make them all about, you know, politics, only it's the right kind of politics, or LGBT stuff, but the right kind of, it's insane. And now the supervillain that is Razorfist thinks that he's gonna put an end to it all, absolve himself. Let's see if that's true. Welcome back to Words Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol, and yes, here it is. I've only seen about 40 seconds of this. It's damn near 20 minutes. I don't know how you could possibly try and spend 20 minutes eviscerating Smash JT as it, like, do you not got something better to do with your time? But we're gonna find out, because this is probably all a bunch of balonies. Before we get into it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news nearly every day. And while I try not to be part of the YouTube blood sports drama sort of stuff, you come after my friends, you come after my boys. We're gonna go ahead and give a little roast session. So let's see what Fagnito's got to say. Let's get into it, shall we?
This will be the one and only time I've ever addressed these fatuous accusations. On the subject of defamatory nonsense, particularly promulgated by the Perma Online Brigade, I tend to...
Out the gate, the Perma Online Brigade. Homie, you are a content creator. You are part of the Perma Online Brigade. You make videos all the time. I checked your fucking your video count just on your main channel, let alone your gaming channel. You got over 1,000 videos. I mean, so do I, but I'm not claiming I'm not part of that Perma Online Brigade. Like, you are on multiple live streams besides your own shows. A homie out here already pot calling the kettle black, which makes sense because that's the only color this motherfucker knows how to wear.
Hold with a quote from the great John Milton. The best apology for false accusers is silence, sufferance, and honest deeds set against dishonest words.
Homie quoting John Milton as if he's some sort of philosopher. Like the attempts to be a pseudo-intellectual here out the gate are palpable.
But I also knew that while the accusations were libelous and shockingly simple to disprove, they were also entirely too lurid for some talent-bereft drama humping halfwits not to make the mistake of attaching their channels, reputations, and indeed their entire careers to, after which I would drop my reams upon reams of receipts and end their careers overnight. So I hope you fellas enjoyed the 2-week victory lap I allowed you all to have, because now karma comes to collect. And if
the 2-week victory lap he allowed people to have. Huh, you didn't allow anyone to have anyway. First of all, 2 weeks. This shit was 4 months ago. You could have been saying, I was trying to say, oh, well, the best of is silence. You know, it's, never address the accusations. Be silent. Homie, you are accused of some pretty heinous shit. I mean, if you had receipts to prove that this wasn't the case, maybe you should have dropped them then. Or is this just a case of, oh, there's been a whole major ramp up as of late in these fake gamers, these fake anti-woke individuals doing coordinated attacks against individuals like Hypnotic or Smash JT or myself or Kato or Atreus or anybody else under the sun, Master of the TDS, folks that have always objectively been fighting for one thing only, keeping political ideology, regardless of the side, out of nerd culture, keeping forced agendas out of nerd culture. And for a long time, we were all more or less on the same page in doing that. But ever since Big Daddy Donald Trump got his W, now y'all look at this as, oh, we can start forcing our agendas, these right-wing agendas, into nerd culture. And now when you see John F. Trent or JDA or Your Source Games, of course, Melanie Mac and you, Razorfist, now that you all have some sort of losing horse, you're collectively coming together to try and destroy the people that have been consistent and on message since the beginning. So now you're gonna drop these receipts. Let's see what you got, buddy. Bring it on. Let's go.
If you thought Pro Jared had receipts to prove his innocence, buckle up, bitch. Fortunately for me, I don't even really need all of that exculpatory proof to disprove the most serious of these claims, because as many of my fans have already helpfully pointed out, the available timeline already disproves them. If I were to allege that Elon Musk robbed a jewelry store on June 13th at 6 o'clock p.m., seems to me step one in establishing or annihilating that allegation would be to check the surveillance footage on June 13th at 6 o'clock on the dot. So, as internet sleuths have already deduced, due to the age and birth date of the accuser, in order for this relationship to have occurred when they say it did, I would have had to be dating this person in or throughout 2015.
Okay, let's get one thing straight out the gate. Nobody actually cares about whether or not you were some sort of groomer or what. Because I don't know. I don't care. Here's what I care about. Here's what the vast majority of us care about. You're a goddamn hypocrite, and you're trying to hijack a movement that you didn't actually care about. You're trying to co-opt something you didn't care about to maintain your online relevance. That's what it really boils down to. Because here's the dealio. If you actually were, I would be willing to wager a guess that he is not, at least in any sort of criminal standing when it comes to these groomer allegations. Why? Because if there was weight to them, yeah, there would probably be actual investigations. He would probably be under investigation. There would probably be some sort of proof, evidence. He might be in jail. Who knows what it would be? The fact of the matter is, there is an audio, regardless of the age of the gal, there is an audio tape out there of you being, very verbally abusive, regardless of the age of the individual, regardless of how long you've been dating them. Like, for you to put up this squeaky clean image of, oh, look at me, I take the moral high ground, and I'm better than all of you other quote-unquote anti-wokers because I stay consistent, and I've got my, incredible right-leaning values, and we are all against porn and video games, and all the stuff you bat the Melanie Mac horse on, that shit came to roost. So, again, nobody cares about the groomer stuff. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't, I don't know, but what we care about is the fake propaganda that you peddled to try and co-opt a movement and to pretend that you cared about political ideologies and gaming not existing when really you do just want one ideology, your ideology. So yes, go ahead and attempt to make this about something else to obfuscate the complete and utter bullshit you've spewed ever since basically Daddy Trump took office and Gamergate 2 took a different turn.
Any later than this, and the entire timeline collapses. Fortunately for me, 2015 was also significant in that it's the same year I began streaming in earnest. The name of that series is Razorfist Arcade, and the entire thing is publicly available in a single handy playlist on my channel's front page and has been since 2015. In fact, if you click on only the third video on that playlist, a live stream of the game Thief 4 that originally aired on March 18th, 2015, you can disprove these allegations within about 30 seconds. Because at that point in the video, a woman's voice can be heard.
Do you ever plan on playing or reviewing the original Dark Souls?
Yeah, I've heard the original Dark Souls is a lot better than 2. Hold on, there is actually... My lady just hurt herself. There is actually a way to get...
The identity of the voice? My actual girlfriend at the time. A 26-year-old white woman with a high soprano voice as contrasted with the lower Latina voice of the accuser.
What does any of that matter? I mean, I'm gonna be real. That doesn't disprove anything other than there was a girl there that was talking to you. You say you've got the receipts, and maybe you'll show more as the video goes on, but again, first of all, I don't even care about the grooming allegations if I'm being completely honest, but to take you at your word for it is what you're asking. Hey, that's my actual girlfriend. Hey, she's 26. It's just, at this point, your word versus the internet's word. Also, why are you so bent out of shape about this now? Kino Casino made those accusations again 4 months ago. Smash JT reported on them. By the way, didn't speak on them with any definitiveness to my knowledge, to my recollection. So there's a reason you're talking about this now. Is it because you're in some sort of hot water? Is it because you don't like how the vast majority of the internet has turned against you because you've been proven to be a bold-faced liar in the face of Gamergate 2? Again, you're just asking for your word versus theirs. There's nothing aside from a woman's voice in this video. So please do show more.
She was my earliest co-host on Razorfist Arcade. She interacted fairly and warmly with my audience, hence why they affectionately named her Lady Fist, which is why I find it so unctuous that drama...
To be fair, Lady Fist sounds like what you gave that other girl in some of those leaked audio... Allegedly.
Humping douchebags found it necessary to write her out of existence in order to forward a false narrative about a relationship I was not in at this time. One of the worst mistakes a defamation merchant can make when inventing a lie about someone is to include a third party in the lie who can gainsay your story. In this case, my current co-host and longtime editor, Taryn Gell, was there the entire time and can confirm I was with Ladyfist not only in 2015, but for several years thereafter. We started streaming in 2015.
Homie sounds awful upsetty spaghetti is all I'm saying. Like if you had 4 months to stew on this, you couldn't come up with like a very calm, casual way to disprove this. If you're this upsetty spaghetti, it makes me think maybe you're hiding something. I don't know. I get it. Rageaholic, that's your brand. You're always raging and upset and angry, but pick your battles. Now might not necessarily be the best time to be in character. And I get it, the black and white filter ain't up, so maybe he's not in character. Maybe he just is this much of a pissed off little prick all the time.
Yeah.
You became co-host shortly after that, so there's streams from like February and March where she's the co-host. After you became co-host, do you remember her still being in the picture?
Absolutely. You would often see her this would be back in your old place, that she'd be in the back chilling on the bed. She'd go in and out or whatever.
Right.
But she was still there.
And she would chime in sometimes on streams.
So wait, that's your other receipt? You asking your buddy? Like, your friend that would back you because he's your friend and because you guys have known each other for again, this could very well all be true. But none of it's convincing because, like, yeah, if I did something wrong, I'm sure I got some boys that would back me up. Then, yeah, I've also probably got some other friends that would absolutely say, yeah, no, like, different folks, different friends will handle situations differently. But at the end of the day, if you're just asking me, hey, believe me based on my word, also believe me based on this guy's word, these are the words of people I don't know from Adam. Why would I use that, accept that as any sort of proof or evidence in more regard than what I've also seen or heard previously? Why would anybody do that? This is, what you're asking for doesn't make any sort of sense here.
Oh,
I seem to
absolutely.
remember,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
So-
you would invite her to.
Right. So would you say that she was still in the picture for like only a month or two after that, or would you say that was like for a year or more?
Definitely a year or more. She was there for.
So you're asking leading questions again. I mean, this is a crash out, boys. This is an absolute crash out, and it's one of those things where he's gonna use some orchestrated sophistry to try and make him seem smarter to his audience because they already suck his cock enough because he's this enlightened one that uses big 3-syllable $10 words. Yeah, no, needless to say, buddy, this ain't gonna fool anyone that is not already riding her cock.
For a while.
Right.
Lady Fist was a Caucasian female, very, very pale woman.
Even after Taryn Gell settled into the co-host role, Lady Fist remained a fixture of arcade live streams in the years that followed, albeit only in the background. In fact, when I recorded a recreation of the Shadow radio drama entitled The Immortal Murderer, cast in the role of Margot Lane, as the credits will confirm, and your own ears will as well, was none other than Lady Fist.
No, take it easy, Commissioner.
It's easy for you to sit there smirking, Cranston.
He's not smirking, Commissioner.
My apologies, Miss Lane. I ought to have said leering.
That episode?
Now, I don't know if that was Razorfist doing the deep voice part, and this really has nothing to do with the accusations or anything, but if that was him and Lady Fist, she's a much better voice actor, just gotta say.
Was uploaded on Halloween, October 31st, 2016. Over a year after every imbecilic e-drama dick holster falsely alleges I was dating the accuser. And before anyone argues, well, you're clearly keeping the relationship a secret from your public girlfriend. Okay, that almost makes sense. Until you remember that I wasn't keeping Lady Fist at all private from the accused. So why, in every defamatory screenshot, in every autism-infused e-drama video in existence, in the long litany of defamatory and false allegations, is not once it claimed that I publicly dated another woman while I was supposed to be with the accuser on Razorfist Arcane live streams that thousands of people watched? See?
I mean, there's plenty of reasons this could be explained. I mean, yeah, you very well could be keeping this sort of stuff a secret. You could have had backhand deals. Hey, you've got a very public persona to keep. It's very easy to say, hey, I'm a big-time streamer. I'm a big-time YouTube personality. I can't, my image can be ruined. Here, I will pay you, or I'll offer you X, Y, Z. I mean, again, did any of this happen? Who knows? When you say, oh, why would this? There's a myriad of reasons why. Like, again, you're just asking us to take your word. Fair enough. Sure, people are gonna take your word, just like people are gonna take Kino Casinos or Smash ETs or whatever word, but nothing you've offered, I have to keep reiterating, is proof of anything. There's no receipts here thus far.
Seems to me that would be item number 1 on the list of douchey things I've done if even one of these accusations were accurate.
No. Number 1 on the list of douchey things you've done is wear those sunglasses in every fucking video. That's number 1. These other stuff, if true, are like way down the list. Number 2 would be having your videos in this black and white filter like there's some sort of neo-noir meets heavy metal detective god. Like, those are pretty high up on the douchebag level. The way that you talk about certain political subjects, if as if you're an expert, and again, try and pose yourself like, quoting John Milton at the beginning of this to try and elevate yourself, this false intellectualism. Those are higher on the douchebag meter, if I had to give it my way.
There goes the timeline, there goes the accusations along with it, all after 30 seconds of research on a public playlist.
Well, even if that is the timeline, that doesn't mean there goes the accusations. Accusations are just that, accusation. I can accuse you of anything just because you could prove a timeline. It doesn't mean the accusation's not still there. It just wouldn't be truthful or valid, but the accusation would still be there. Again, for somebody that tries to feign such intellectualism, you're doing a very bad job of it in this video.
30 seconds of research that gashed JT.
30 seconds of research, and it took you 6 minutes to explain that? Maybe if you stopped using $10 words to try and pretend you're so much smarter than everybody you're preaching at right now, you could have done that in 30 seconds. Jesus Christ, this dude is more long-winded than fucking Eric July at times. No shade to Eric July, shout out, I do enjoy you, I'm just saying.
Drama parasites on the cringe casino couldn't be bothered to do before obliterating the last waning rivulets of their remaining credibility by committing libel and ending their own careers. And all before if they did commit libel, if they did end their career, you've had 4 months to sue on this. You've clearly got the money from your oh-so-successful YouTube channels and streams and oh-so-successful comic book that you use the Friday Night Tights crew and whatnot to peddle for you because nobody would buy it in the first place. If they did commit libel, where's the lawsuit coming from? Like, Alyssa Mercante's lawsuit against Smash JT may be bullshit, but at least she's bringing one forward. Granted, with a likely pro bono lawyer that's taking her case because of ideological purposes, but nonetheless, there's at least a lawsuit there. If you're gonna claim libel, then no, this is very much... Oh, by the way, it wouldn't be libel. Libel is print. These were spoken, so to quote J. Jonah Jameson, this would be slander. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is, if there is defamation, slander, libel, whatever you want to call it, wouldn't you think that after 4 months there would have been a lawsuit served by this point? And if there was a lawsuit served by this point, don't you think that Smash or Kino Casino would have came out and drama farmed videos for it and got support and GoFundMes and things of that effect? I'm sorry, I can't take it seriously when in the 4-month timeline of these accusations, none of that's happened, Razorfist. I've dropped a single private receipt, of which I have many, motherfucker. But I know what you're saying. I don't believe Terangel. After all, he's Razor's buddy. He's biased. Maybe he hallucinates Latinas into white chicks in his spare time.
Now, to be fair, if you're going to hallucinate any brand from white to another race, Latina's not a bad one to hallucinate.
Maybe he's misremembering her sitting by his side for over 3 damn years. Why? Without seeing her, in order to know she isn't the accuser, what we need is a vocal analysis, and I agree. So first, let's hear Lady Fist again.
There is no way you cried when Eris died.
I so did. I even have the soundtrack on my iPod, and whenever that song plays, I tear up. I have flashbacks.
Ah, but where's the accuser? All we've heard is one side. Well, fortunately for you, I have just the thing, and I think it'll help clear up a lot more than just a vocal analysis, such as why these libelous accusations emerged.
Again, slanderous, not libelous, slanderous. Because they were stated, they were spoken, they're on a stream. Again, libelous if you're talking about Smash, I guess, if he wrote an article about this, but fair enough. Yeah, he hasn't exactly made it eloquently clear as to who he's actually referring to. Kino Casino, Smash, maybe both, but if so, either way, the point is, you can see here his pseudo-intellectualism is it's cracking. The mask is cracking because he's actually frazzled about this. He is actually angry about this. If none of it's true, why so angry? Have your views suffered? Have people not been letting you on the show? If that's the case, if people haven't been wanting you on their shows, if your views have suffered, don't you think you should have come out with all this sooner? All I'm saying is, there's some holes in this, and you're not covering them up by angrily yelling at the camera, calling people motherfucker as if that's supposed to make you taken more seriously. You come off as some sort of tough guy. No, you're just an internet bitch like the vast majority of us.
At all, and who, if anyone, was actually emotionally and physically abused in that relationship.
Do you think that I cannot hurt you without the power of social media?
What?
Because I promise you I can. I have a bunch of shit that'll hurt you.
Okay, nice. Another threat. Very nice.
I'm just telling you the cold hard facts. I am aware of a bunch of shit that'll hurt your feelings. So what the fuck do I need social media for if I want to hurt your feelings and make you hurt?
So that's... Wow. So we're up to threat number 3, I guess.
See, here's the dealio. First of all, woman being a woman, shocker. I've been around several women that do this. I've dated them. My mother was one of them. I'm just saying, like, this is just a pretty common vindictive female tactic. But obviously, he's recording this. Why is he recording this? Because he wants to use as evidence. Why is he acting out like if in this video this is the real Razor douche and he's crashing out like this, and then in this audio recording here we have him being super calm, collected, and this is to the accuser, not to an audience and nobody's, to the accuser. He's this calm and collected. This is a put on. He had the mental wherewithal at the time of recording this to make sure he stayed completely calm and level in order to do what? Garner sympathy, make himself look more believable. But now, now we're seeing the real Razor douche come out in this video where he is flipping his lid, major crash out, because, again, there's probably something to this. Even if this audio recording is real, there's some manipulation on both party sides. Her obviously saying she's going to do things to hurt him, whatnot, and him trying to manipulate whoever would be listening to this, lawyers and audience, whatnot, by pretending to be the calm, rational, honestly meek individual that we're hearing him as right now.
I guess 6,
That's
if,
not a threat.
4, 5 if we count the I will slit your throat or shoot you.
Strange that that part wasn't in the recording,
because
at least that we
you're
heard.
talking to me condescending, and I don't like that.
I was not trying to condescend. I was trying to get off the phone and calm things down.
What part you didn't understand? Like, I want you to deactivate your Twitter. You're not allowed to stream this week, and that's going to be the deal. Otherwise,
What?
you can hang up and we'll never talk again, okay?
What?
I'm making you a deal.
Took a turn.
To be fair, that's not a deal. That's an ultimatum. Like, I'm not gonna defend the accuser or whatnot. That's an ultimatum. But again, this isn't even about the accusations. This is about the fact that you're a grifter, Razorfist. You're a grifter. You don't care about the shit you're talking about. And moments like this expose that. And if you're gonna grift about this sort of stuff, you're gonna grift about something as simple as goddamn video games, why wouldn't you lie and grift about other deep, dark shit? You painted yourself into a hole by backing the wrong horse, by putting all your chips down on someone as deranged and insane as Melanie Mac and Cheese, and now it's all come to this. Even if you're completely correct in everything that happened here, there's gonna be people that don't believe you, that don't listen to you. And why is that? Because you picked ideology and you picked people, somebody's personality, their political beliefs, their agendas over being philosophically consistent. And guess what? If you're gonna do it once, why wouldn't you do it after that? Why wouldn't you lie? Why wouldn't you grift? Why wouldn't you pretend to be something you're not in any other instance? You brought this on yourself, homie.
Didn't it? What you've just heard was an admission to and justification of a murder threat. One that my ex, as a gun owner, actually possessed the means to carry out, might I add. On one occasion, she threatened to murder my wheelchair-bound father, my former roommate, who you all knew as Mormagil, and...
Okay, so it says, I'll kill you and everyone you love. You did everything wrong. You need to be more interesting and engaged with me in a good conversation. From E. Again, we just got to take his word that this is the accuser. And that's where the death threats, name calling, and attacks. Again, let's see, was there any timestamps in this? No timestamp, so we've just gotta assume that this wasn't doctored for this video, which, he's been working on for 4 months, apparently. So, I mean, you could easily doctor some shit in that time. Who's to say?
Murder my wheelchair-bound father, my former roommate, who you all knew as Mormagil, and she even threatened to shoot and kill the dog we picked out together, Cicero. Now, that might seem extreme, unless, of course, you've heard names like Jodi Arias or Amber Heard, because I learned after ending the relationship following an actual murder attempt that my ex had been diagnosed with
You're more than worth it, hubby. I want to work with you and have this work. I just need you to understand bipolar disorder. So please do T's video. Please do T's video research a little while. Sound like an Indian guy for a sec. Again, maybe this is it wouldn't surprise me if this is a bipolar chick who's doing something like insane shit. Her being a bad actor or a bad apple or anything also doesn't exonerate you for being a piece of shit either. Like, two things can be true. Homie is truly sitting here trying to convince everybody that he is completely innocent, that he has never done anything wrong, that he is the victim in all this, and completely obfuscate the idea that even if that is true, he could still also be a colossal douche, and this stuff can also, that he is alleged, can still be true. One does not inherently negate the other, but he tries to use clever words and manipulate your emotions to show that. Again, what does any of this have to do with Smash JT, Kino Casino? What does any of this have to do? Why was this made 4 months later? What's happened in the last couple of days that's made this be such a... Oh, wait, I know what's happened in the last couple of days. Your quote-unquote fake anti-woke movement is falling apart. People, audiences, gamers, the whole nine are rejecting you. Rejecting Melanie Mac, rejecting John Delarose, rejecting Your Short Games, rejecting John F. Trent. The list goes on and fucking on. So now, you gotta stir up some internet drama. You gotta show that you got a coordinated attack. Why was Hypno and Smash JT's accounts randomly, out of nowhere, why was targeted harassment done towards their accounts? Why did several Smash videos get hit at once? Why did several of Hypno's channels get hit at once? And all of a sudden, like, you could say, oh, it was Alyssa Mercante, it was the Wokies. Well, they've been trying this shit for years, ever since I've known Hypno, and I've known Smash less, but as long as I've known Smash as well, and there was never any success from them. So, but now, all of a sudden, we've seen John Delarose, John F. Trent, Your Source Games, all these individuals start coming after Hypno and Smash in the exact same capacity as, Alyssa Mercante and them did in the past, if not in a worse capacity, and now their channels are taking hits, now YouTube's taking action on them, now the Alana Pierce stuff is going down with Smash JT. Why would these leftist wokies have succeeded now when they have failed in the past several years? Or is there a new faction involved, and it's these guys, it's these clowns, Razorfist being a part of that freaking fracked out weird cabal of individuals that just need to have their political ideology and, of course, their views and their online grift justified so they can continue to make money, so they can continue to make content, so they can continue to gain some sort of, maintain whatever meager relevancy they have left. So yes, I'm sorry, but you can show all the receipts you want. So far, these are not receipts. I mean, they're invoices at best. But no, these are not receipts. These are just your words versus other people's words. It's a temper tantrum that you're throwing.
EPD and HPD, and if that sounds at all familiar, it's because it's the same cocktail of mental illnesses that Amber Heard has, at which point I studied the condition at length, chiefly with a book called Stop Walking on Eggshells, the introduction for which says in so many words, run! And after she attempted to make good on her threat to murder me, having already threatened to invent a panoply of lies about me to embarrass me in public, as you just heard her admit to over a phone call, I finally resolved to do exactly that. But even after finally...
There's this crazy thing that when couples are toxic, it's usually on both people's ends. Like both individuals are usually a cocktail of mental illnesses that do not mesh. So yes, while what he's saying about this gal is probably true, homie, clearly you also have some sort of narcissism disorder. Like, call it, this is my assumption, I don't know if it's true or not, this is my armchair psychology, but yes, I'd be willing to bet dollars to donuts, which I bet this dude frequently eats because he cosplays as a heavy metal cop on all of his videos, that you have got some sort of narcissistic personality disorder as well, and it very heavily clashed with this individual that, is in the audio recordings. Stop trying to make yourself out to look like the hero or the victim here. You were likely just as deranged if I had to wager a guess.
Extricating myself from this emotionally and physically abusive relationship, the threats of blackmail intensified and finally escalated to action. If you watch the Johnny Depp trial, you have some faint notion of what I dealt with for over a year. False accusations, which the accuser actually bragged about inventing and spreading, privately leaked recordings, absent context of any kind, where she suddenly puts on a little Bo Peep voice and pretends she didn't initiate an argument entirely, often with preceding physical abuse.
Okay, by all means, let's say that that's true, because these are the audio recordings that, of course, many of us have heard, the ones coming from the accuser, and, guys, maybe it was all fake. Sure, maybe she faked it because of her bipolar disorder. I ain't gonna put it past. We've seen plenty of women do shit like that. Let's be real. The way you handled it wasn't exactly good. It's hard to be charitable to you when your response to her, trying to play nice or faking or whatnot, is to be equally as verbally, emotionally, and mentally abusive as you claim she was. I'm sorry, but isn't the whole adage, two rights don't make a wrong? Are you gonna address how you look, how you sound, why you said and did what you said and did in those recordings? Because we are at this point 10 minutes into a damn near 20-minute video, and you at no point tried to even justify your behavior, which was out of goddamn pocket. So again, both the people in this instance are probably complete and utter douche nozzles who did this to each other.
It's Johnny Depp and Amber Heard all over again, and a baffling number of leering retards took Amber Heard's side without once engaging in the aforementioned 30 seconds of research required to disprove them, all because they were felted by a fucking tweet! I've seen screenshots of the Twitter hack that are now being bandied about as evidence of this. Problem being, my ex actually refuted those allegations herself in other screenshots, which I posted as proof. So either she was lying on the first occasion, or she was lying on the second. In any case, a proven and inveterate liar. But the blackmail did exist. And here again, on the subject of the entire underage narrative being nothing but a coordinated blackmail and smear campaign, indeed, for an admission of the fact that all of my girlfriends, including her, were very much of age, I don't want you to believe me. I want you to believe her.
I haven't leaked anything. I haven't mentioned anything. I haven't messaged anyone. I haven't,
The word for that is blackmail. When you threaten to do it. And that was my entire point to begin with. This crap about me being a predator and a pedophile. How freaking dare you? My girlfriends have been my age or older.
I know.
But here's the hilarious part. It's all irrelevant. Not only did we prove that the entire timeline's impossible without a flux capacitor and plutonium, not only did the abuser in question admit to death threats and blackmail, not only did they admit they were of age while publicly lying that they were not, but by the grace of God, I had only just begun to return to my faith at the beginning of this relationship. And so, after multiple live-in girlfriends and physical relationships, I finally felt the conviction to actually wait until marriage. I have no defense. I'm simply a sinner.
I'm sorry. Playing the religion card here to try and, again, garner sympathy from your new Melanie Mac religiously obsessed crowd, that is low. I find that to be disgusting. If you want to try and win people over and have them take your side, there's a secular argument you can make to it without, again, what comes up to me is using my faith as a tool to garner an emotional response and sympathy. I find that to be disgusting, and maybe he is being 100% honest in this, and if that's the case, once again, you have brought this sort of doubt on yourself by being the type of character you are, by showing the type of character you've shown, in that you have very clearly picked ideologies, agendas, and poisonous, toxic people over the sake of consistency, honesty, and transparency with your audience and the people that you have met online, people that you have cultivated some sort of, frankly, religious following from. Needless to say, this holds literally no water, even if it is true.
Oh, I intended to marry her, at least the person she was pretending to be, through a BPD technique known as mirroring, wherein they ask a lot of questions and they seem really curious and interested in your life, when in actuality they're assembling a composite personality of all of your likes and dislikes, which they then project back at you like some kind of mirror mask. A BPD abuser has no personality or empathy of their own, and they exploit yours. The victim of said manipulation is left to think they won the jackpot, at least initially. In my case, I thought I had a traditional Christian wife willing to wait until marriage, and then, a month in, the mask started to slip and she became openly abusive, both emotionally and physically. And so, for all the allegations of grooming and gooning, for all the dimwits and dipshits typing the words, "He slept with a child," and...
By the way, I want to throw this out here. You tried to use the faith as a fallback a moment ago. Didn't you also say in a recent video and post and whatnot, recent relative to how long you've been online, that is, it's been a few years, or a few months, I forget how long it's been, you stopped swearing because, again, for your faith, you have dropped motherfucker and dipshit and done all sorts of swearing at this point. Once again, how can I take you levying your faith as the reason for so much of this, when you've already gone back on one of the main tenets, one of the main things you claimed you were doing because of your faith? You're going to quit swearing, things to that effect. Just in this video alone, your crash out is so insane that you have neglected basic tenets of the religion that you are trying to use as a sympathy tool. It's kind of fucking disgusting. But again, what would you expect from a dude who pretends that he's a member of fucking, some insert metal band here, Judas fucking Priest? Again, I guess Judas Priest makes sense, because you are definitely a Judas.
In their thumbnails, not only was she of age by her own admission, I never proposed marriage, and thus we never slept together. But once again, I do not want you to take my word for it. Instead, I want you to do exactly what you've already been doing. I want you to take her word for it without any proof or research of your own of any kind.
If anybody were to come up to ask me and say, "Hey, how's Razor? How's living with Razor?" "Oh, he's a lying piece of shit."
Except that's not true.
Are you still a virgin? "Yeah, I'm still a virgin." "Oh, but I thought you lived with your boyfriend." "Yep, still a virgin.
Weirdest groomer ever. A relationship that requires a time-traveling DeLorean to actually occur, culminating in...
Two Back to the Future references in one rant. You're getting sloppy, Razor douche.
In no sex whatsoever because we were both waiting until marriage. Saucy stuff, folks. I can see why you'd want to torpedo your entire YouTube career, attaching your credibility to it. But what about the most salacious allegation of all? The ones Blandy Worski and the Diabetosaurus next to him were shaking their talentless tits about for 20 minutes at a stretch, blissfully unaware it was the prologue to the end of their YouTube career. A decade-old, long discredited screenshot from a porn website that no longer exists, featuring incorrect doxing information that's grainier than the Zapruder footage. By all means, let's dive into that. Because while you world-smashing web sleuths were spending all of 5 seconds repeating lies on an e-drama website whose own page includes a disclaimer that it is, quote, an online humor and satire source, and thus that you shouldn't take anything said therein even the slightest bit seriously, I did some digging of my own, and I didn't have to dig far. You see, the allegation is these videos are not only of me, but the proof is that I uploaded them myself. Now, as an author, I would say I have a fairly distinct authorial voice, marked by bizarre Victorian nomenclature interspersed with the odd peppering of profanity. So in doing some research, I discovered that the video in question was actually uploaded more than once.
Again, that was all such insane levels of posturing. I can't even begin to... Dude is going through some demons. This is a wild crash out because I would like to once again point out all of this was months ago, and the vast majority of what we have been talking about in the interim since then has had nothing to do with any of these sorts of allegations or labels or anything like that. It has been his piss poor convictions and the objectively incorrect side he chose that is agenda and politically driven in this Gamergate 2 subculture on YouTube. Like, that's what it boils down to. So there has to be a reason all this is coming up now. Because let's be real, no one's talked about this. This is old news. Whether it was real or not also doesn't matter. By the way, the him jerking off stuff, he says that's the most salacious? I'm sorry, I would say the grooming allegations, true or not, are far more salacious than a, few minute video of supposedly you jerking off. Like, just saying, one of those things is far worse than the other. Internet video of you jerking off, whatever. Darkside Phil's fucking done that, and he's still got a career. The grooming shit is far more salacious.
By the same original user on that porn website. And in examining the description of said video, I would imagine my unique grammatical style would be impossible to camouflage. So let's dig in. The first video entitled,
Your unique grammatical style is a character, is a put-on. Are you going to use that in the same fucking porn image if it was you, or the same porn video? Again, you can't let us believe, you cannot be trying to get people to believe that this is the way you speak to people in the real world. Because if that's the case, holy shit, you are more pretentious than I thought. That would actually blow my mind that you were more pretentious than like half of modern Hollywood. That which you spend your entire career, by the way, criticizing online, only to be just like them.
Denky face / carrot head, self-deprecating sort that I am, goes on to say, quote, I am that coward, capital C, who have nothing to do just to sit at my cam and review stupid games, capital G. This is the video of my jerking off, capitalized all. Oh, but now here's a curious cultural artifact for any actual Americans out there, because what follows is a phone number that's not only incorrect, but written not in the American, but the international phone number format, meaning with a plus sign, followed by a country code of 1 for America, followed by an unspaced, unhyphen...
That means absolutely nothing. I see this format for American numbers all the time in my line of work. By the way, we don't do international work with what I do. So, no, that literally proves nothing, and he's relying on people that don't know that means nothing to make this some sort of gotcha. The +1 country code and then the additional 10 numbers is That is so frequent and common in many instances, even within America. That is bananas.
Phone number thereafter, as we in the hinterland of Arizona are so inclined to do. Of course, I remember this video even better than that, because back in April of 2011, the self-same barely literate troll uploaded this false video to YouTube and linked it to my fans. See, back then, YouTube listed each and every one of your subscribers on your page publicly. So said troll was able to scroll down the list and DM it to them at whim. Some of you rageaholics may still remember this. And so in April of 2011, I shut my channel down only briefly in order to protect my own fans from being spammed by this spurg, as there was no other way to hide my public subscribers.
I'm gonna be real. I don't doubt this part at all. I actually 100% believe him on this. I also couldn't care less. I didn't cover any of the Razorfist drama that had to do with any of the the pornography or whatnot, because I really don't care about that. That's, to me, that's uninteresting. It was years ago. People do dumb shit when they're young and online or whatever, and it's obviously not a career-ending thing. Again, Darkside Phil still gets viewers for whatever fucking reason, and he was jerking off on a live stream. Like, I don't know. This, to me, was a nothing burger. I don't even know why he's addressing it in this, because I don't know anyone that cared about this aspect of this story.
If you're wondering, by the way, why my channel was founded in May of 2009, but none of my videos date to before April of 2011, mystery solved. I had to re-upload them all. Mind you, the video was promptly removed, but the account was still up long enough that I did nab a screenshot of some of the reactions at the time. And it's in combing over the account in question that we see more sterling examples of my writing style. Quote, "I'm Daniel Razorbutt. Some know me as Donkey Face, Carrot Head, Dumb Shit, and ... But I prefer Jerkaholic."
Yeah, again, obvious troll. You literally could have just started with that. But hey, look, this is an obvious troll. Look at this right here. All of the lead up to this was unnecessary. And once again, nobody, at least to my knowledge, that has to do with the Gamergate 2 stuff and why we've very much distanced ourselves from taking you any sort of seriously. None of it had to do with this. Again, this is just you trying to further manipulate anybody listening that you are the good guy, that you were the victim, that you were the hero, because you're able to point out something that you were an actual victim of, but it wasn't something that people cared about to begin with on either side of this. So, all right, continue your posturing and manipulation, but by all means.
Yeah, I do believe you cracked the case of my illicit gay porn career, Columbo. You should roll with this narrative without doing any research whatsoever because you're cranky about a tweet. In fact, you should attach the final remaining micrograms of credibility you still possess on your person to push in this piss-poor nonsense and accomplish precisely nothing in the process but utterly embarrassing yourself being caught, once again, lying about strangers on the internet. But we expect laziness and libel from these cum-burping bitches. No one whatsoever surprised when Glandy Wars peers out from the coke cloud, flanked by an anonymous autistic asteroid who, if chins were brains, would rule the fucking world, pauses momentarily to comb an e-drama website that openly admits to lying its dick off from dawn to damn dusk, all to tank the remaining relevance of the Diabeto Casino. And as for Gash JT, the fart huffing hack who honestly confuses himself...
Okay, at this point, he's just moving back and forth like a fucking PS2 NPC. Like, you know how NPCs only had like so many movements that they would just go through? Watch the way he's moving. Like, I swear to God, this is what it looks like.
With an independent journalist, such that he's still spurging about stolen scoops that if his character in this instance is any indication, he likely stole from someone else. Also, he could slap white text on a wildly original thumbnail and express socially acceptable opinions on the 8 entire...
Smash uses yellow text. For somebody upsetting Spaghetti that someone didn't do their research, you clearly didn't do your... I know it's a nitpick, but your claim right then and there was that Smash doesn't do his research, and in accusing Smash of that, you couldn't even describe one of his thumbnails properly, which again would have taken, like you keep so aptly saying, would have taken 30 seconds to look up. You could have taken 30 seconds to look at a Smash JT thumbnail and described it properly. Just saying...
members of his imbecilic audience. Ah, well, what you lack in talent, you make up for in chromosomes. Look at the bright side, bud. I've ended bigger careers of infinitely more talented individuals in a 5-minute rant. You only took me 30 seconds. Walk it off, asshole. I hear they're hiring at IKEA. And the receipts you...
At what point did he end Smash's career in any of this? Oh no, Smash made a video about a rumor. Like, is that not what you have done throughout the majority of your career? What many of us have done? Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong. Always use words like allegedly and whatnot, just in case, because that's what good journalists do. Like, I'm sorry. This is truly the era of hypocrisy in any sort of gaming movement. I'm actually jaw on the floor at how he thinks that this is any sort of W for him or a takedown to Smash JT. We have had 20 minutes of you talking about shit that nobody actually cares about. It also doesn't address the vast majority of the reasons why we have turned our back on you or your coverage of your channel or any of those like you, which is the fact that you're a blatant grifter.
You've heard today are only the tip of the iceberg. I'm holding the real goodies back just in case a crazy person decides to be the latest Me Too accuser to lose in court. But publicly, outside of a courtroom, this is the first and last word I have said about this easily debunked bullshit. On with the rants.
That was, frankly... we've been going for 45 minutes, so I don't want to say colossal waste of time, because frankly, it was a lot of fun. But, once again, I do feel a bit vindicated in my criticisms and judgments of Razorfist as a content creator in a post-Gamergate 2 world, because, once again, he was saying nothing of substance, like the vast majorities, like the Melanie Max, like the John F. Trents, like the JDAs, like the York Torch Games, all of them saying nothing of substance, however, trying to drum up drama in ways that the vast majority of us gamers don't actually care about. We want to why? Because we care about one thing. Good, ideologically, no ideology, I guess. There's no political ideology, agenda-free games that just are naturally what the artist wants to make, or what the creators want to make, or whatnot. We don't want to see right-wing politics, we don't want to see left-wing politics, and the vast majority of people's derision of Razorfist, of Razor Douche here, is because he bet on the horses of JDA and Melanie Mac, etc., etc., etc. And now, 4 months later, when the story is long dead and gone, and gamers have turned their backs on all those individuals, denouncing their inclusion in Gamergate 2, calling them out, after being attacked by people like JDA, like, oh, all the people that go against me are the woke left, are the libertarians masking as wokies, or leftists, or, hey, Gamergate 2 is a conservative movement, and if you don't have conservative values, then you're basically on the left, when all the vast majority of us, the disaffected liberals, the libertarians, the regular lefties, the regular people on the right, not the extremists of any kind, people who are completely apolitical to begin with, what we all have in common is the one thing of, hey, can we stop letting things like Sweet Baby Inc. or these fake leftist journalists or anything to that effect affect the games we've been playing? Can we get back to actually caring about the gamers and not the media outlets? Can we get back to them, the game companies not pretending or not understanding, depending on however you want to phrase it, that these journalistic outlets and the fake wokies on X don't speak for us? No, it was always, Gamergate 2 was always about leaving ideologies of either side by the wayside, and you couldn't do that, Razorfist, ever since Melanie Mac had that trash taste that kicked off Goonergate, which got you the nickname Goonerfist that Cult Classic Age is so properly appropriated, and let's be real, is carrying the torch far higher than you in that regard. Ever since you bet on the Melanie Mac horse and you bet wrong, you've been coping and seething because you can't walk it back. You're in too deep now, so you have to try and obfuscate things and make this fake takedown video, which, by the way, didn't take anything down. Okay, that's not true. You didn't take anyone down. You did clear up that pornography thing, which, again, not only the vast majority of people cared about or already knew was fake, but as far as the abuse or the grooming or whatnot, nobody really cared about that. You want to know why nobody cared about that? Because it has not been talked about in 4 months when you could have addressed it all then and there. However, if any of this was real, if there really was slander or libel or anything from Smash JT or Culture Casino, Kino Casino, anything to that effect, you would have done something legally about it. You couldn't even get the legality right. Again, women slander, not libel. You couldn't even get the legality right. You would have done something prior to this point. No. This is nothing more than, again, part of that, at least by my estimation, coordinated effort between all those freak fringe idiots on the far right who have tried to co-opt this movement, and gamers, and frankly, just average YouTube viewers see through it implicitly due to coverage by people who actually care, who've been philosophically consistent, people like Smash AT, people like Hypnotic, people like Will the Fans, and if I dare so include myself in here, people like myself, and it's so easy to see through. That's the bitch of the bunch. This is textbook emotional manipulation, which you spent the vast majority of this video saying was done to you, and yet you're using these exact same steps. So you can add being a hypocrite on top of being an ideologically, politically obsessed douchebag who voted on the wrong horse. But those are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at Bolt the Word. And please do subscribe. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news nearly every day. Not always about this YouTube drama, blood sports, but again, when my homies are put in the crosshairs, you know I'm going to come to defend them. But yes, usually about things like anime, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon and become a member. For $4.99 a month, you can join the Discord, choose the articles we go over on a day-to-day basis, choose the videos we react to on the Sunday live streams, and of course, get involved with over 180 other vital idols. We are a bright, beautiful, glowing, vibrant community that I cannot wait to grow even further, because we do care about diversity, but only one kind of diversity of thought. If that's interesting to you, join the Discord, hit subscribe, and until next time, it is all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.